Schaefer, and we have three amazing guests for you today. Our first guest is James Morrison. James and his wife Mara created this wonderful book called What Does a Woman Veteran Look Like? And as we know, more women now than ever before are serving in the military. They can even choose to serve in combat if they like. These are unsung heroes. This segment of the veteran population does not always get the recognition they deserve for their military service. Well, James and Mara decided that they were going to do something about that, and that's why they created this Woman Veteran, What Does a Woman Veteran Look Like? Table photography book, right?
Yes, it was a great project. We appreciate the opportunity to share it.
Great. James, can you tell us how you and Mara met some of the women that you feature in your book?
Most of it came from Melissa Washington and through the Women Veterans Alliance. When we met with her, she provided us with stories about how people have so little knowledge of women veterans. And she wanted to bring recognition, a positive recognition, to those women through the campaign that she was calling, and we adopted the title of, What Does a Woman Veteran Look Like? And we embraced that challenge. It was a challenge to create 10 portraits selected of women who could answer that question just by their appearance and their history of what they did in the military. Each woman wrote a particular story of their experience and then about the life that they lead now. The narratives were so compelling and personal. We knew we had an opportunity to build a relationship with those young ladies in order to capture their essence and their spirit. We met with each one and collaborated on their portrait locations based on their personal interests, and we created the visual context by adding things from their military experience or from their life into their photographs. And as you look at the photographs, please look for things that are unique to each individual veteran.
Why did this project become so deeply personal for the both of you?
Well, I'm a Vietnam era veteran, and I know what it means to have experience of receiving the lack of recognition from the people that you defended. And it struck a chord at the time when I heard the stories about women veterans not receiving the recognition or even the awareness that they served. It was important that they did receive that. Women serve in a variety of positions within the military. Some even drive combat vehicles that save lives of their own people, their own team members. And we don't hear about that because they are technically not in a combat zone, you know. And their careers are often overlooked.
And a lot of women veterans don't even recognize that they're veterans to begin with.
Correct. Mainly because they have been marginalized for so many years as veterans that today they question whether they have served in the military because they may have been storekeepers or clerks, or they may have only been instructors. We had one veteran who was an instructor, but without her help, our nuclear program would have been less effective because she was an instructor in nuclear power.
And can you tell us the name of that woman veteran?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's, I get it right, Kathy Tamiaka.
Ah, okay, very good. Okay, very good. I know your background is that you served during the Vietnam War as a Vietnam era veteran. But you also told me the story about your mother and how she was very instrumental in helping you appreciate the value of service during World War II.
Well, I think that was Mara that was mentioning that. Her mom was, she was World War II also, but she served this country by working in the local communities. And there are so many stories that we have lost from right here in this area, that women working in the shops, but also working in the shipyards. And the traditional story of World War II.
That's true, because that's really when a lot of women first got out of the home environment and they, like Rosie the Riveter, and they went to work.
Correct.
You have created this wonderful portrait book, 10 women veteran stories. How, if someone is interested in learning more about your project, is there a way that they can contact you? Do you have a website?
Absolutely. If they go to shealsoserved.com,
Very
they can
good.
learn more information.
So you have a lot of requests for this portrait book, and due to strong support and belief in your project, the book was recently accepted in the Sacramento and City of Roseville Library System and public schools. And this is really what we're all trying to do here, is to tell our stories.
Absolutely. What we want to do is get this book into all the libraries and public buildings that we can, and museums, so that people can learn and keep this story going.
So women veterans are not invisible. They are
Correct.
very visible. Thank you, James, so much for being a guest on our show.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce my second guest, Carol Ann Wonderland, who is, as you can see, is with the American Legion, District 13
Yes.
in Santa Clara. And Carol Ann, can you tell us about your military experience?
I'd love to. I really enjoyed my Air Force career. I served 6 years. I started off as a military personnelist, and my first duty station was Anchorage, Alaska. That was Elmendorf. And that was a short tour, believe it or not. And short tours I thought were 1 year, but I had to be in Alaska for 2 years. And coming from California, that was quite an adaptation to the climate.
I bet that's an understatement. So how long did you serve?
I served for 6 years. So after I served in Anchorage, I decided I would try something different. So I applied for a special duty assignment with the Air Force Academy. And when I arrived there, it was quite a process to apply, because you had to be considered the top 10% of the Air Force in your job. So I did get it, loved my career there. I actually retrained out of military personnel and became the NCOIC, the Drug and Alcohol Program at the Air Force Academy.
Oh, that's outstanding and good for you. That's awesome. I know you're heavily involved with the American Legion, and that the American Legion is the premier veteran service organization in our nation. Can you tell us what first of all, why you joined, and second of all, why it's important for women veterans to understand the value that belonging to a veteran service organization like the American Legion brings to their lives?
Sure. You know, I joined the American Legion because there was a time not too long ago that I was not really happy with where I was at work. You see, I actually work with the Air Force now, with the Air National Guard, and I manage the National Guard family programs. And it was nice to be part of a unit that was actively involved in rescue, both stateside and overseas. But there was something about not really being part of the unit. I was there to manage a program, and then I decided, you know, I've heard about the American Legion. I should check this out. As it turns out, in the local town of Los Altos, the Legion post there was looking for a speaker. They found out about me being at Moffett Field, and I came and I made a presentation about the National Guard family program. And it was timely because they were looking to grow their membership, and what better way than to hook up with me, an active member of the unit. And it was easy access. I could invite veterans to our base. They didn't have to run it through the unit commander. They could just, I established a nice relationship as a family program coordinator. And then I would invite them out to our family days. They get to meet families, and then in due time I started becoming more interested in what they were doing, and growing the membership meant a lot because there were very few women in the Legion post.
And that's the thing we want to change, is the fact there are very few women in all of the groups. It's not just the American Legion.
Right.
it's the AMVETS, it's the VFWs, Vietnam Veterans of America, it's the Disabled American Veterans. And what a lot of the veteran community may not really get or understand when they first get out of the service is through these groups is how we get our benefits. So if you want to pay back, join the American Legion and become a dues-paying member. If you want to be involved in your community and make a difference for other veterans, it's a wonderful opportunity to volunteer, which is what you do. You are volunteering your energy and efforts to outreach to women veterans.
And now is really the time. There aren't many women, and certainly there aren't many women who are really advocating for women veteran programs. And you know, it astounds me that I'm still meeting women who have served and are not regarding themselves as veterans. I was one of those myself, I mean, for years.
And that is something, that's the theme of our show today. Mm-hmm. Women veterans are not invisible. In fact, we are everywhere. So, Carol Ann, thank you for what you're doing through the American Legion. We appreciate you for your service. Thank you so much. And then I would like to introduce our other guest who has a great story to tell. So Renee Hamilton McNeely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show today. And Renee, can you tell us your military story and what you do in the Army?
Well, next Monday will make my 18th year anniversary, and I've had the honor to serve in the Army Reserve as well as about 10 years on active duty. Primarily what I've done is be a financial manager. Currently I'm a Master Sergeant for a finance course that's taught locally in the Bay Area. Tons of soldiers, so I lead, guide, and mentor them. My experience has been great and quite diverse. I've served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom stateside, provided support. Volunteered a couple of times and did not go over, but still, you know, gave my mission here. And it's been a really great, interesting journey.
That's great. So I know that you're still in the Army.
Yes, Army Reserve.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. But you also work over at the VA in Palo Alto, and you really do a wonderful program over there. So can you tell us about that?
Awesome. Well, I had the honor and pleasure for the last 2.5 years to serve as an advocate for the Army's official Wounded Warrior program. And what we do is provide customized support for one-on-one case management with the severely wounded, injured, and ill veterans. When they medically retire and transition off active duty, we're like that squad leader for life, not only for them, but for their family and children as well, and help them build their path towards independence and be well integrated in their local communities.
And that's wonderful because I know my generation of veterans, the Vietnam veterans, did not necessarily get that kind of assistance when they got out. So it's nice to see that the Army realizes that a lot of, especially the severely wounded veterans that survive injuries that were before they didn't survive and now they're surviving, they need that coach, if you will, to really say, okay, this is how the system works.
Correct.
Because that's really what it's all about, is getting the veteran involved in the system in a veteran service organizations, because really, once again, it's how we get our benefits as veterans. It really is. Now, I've known you for a couple of months now on Facebook. That's how we met. Thank you for contacting me on Facebook,
awesome.
by the way. That was awesome. I know earlier this year you were part of this wonderful nonprofit called...
Well, I worked in, had a 10-month campaign with Miss Veteran America 2016. It provided a great opportunity to showcase a woman outside of the uniform in their traditional roles, such as mother, daughter, sister, wife, friend, advocate, and the beneficiary's final salute. So what we do is raise awareness for the 55,000 plus women veterans who could be homeless at any time, and provide support for them and their children. And the journey's just been amazing. I ended up being in the top 10 for Miss Veteran America 2016. Over 400 women competed, but it's a safe, healthy environment where women who either served or who are currently serving can advocate for their fellow sister, raise awareness, raise funds, get women veterans off the street, and empower them to move forward in their own given lives.
And the reason for that is because, unfortunately, the fastest growing segment of the veteran population that is becoming homeless are women veterans with children.
Correct.
And so this program, Miss Veteran America, is a wonderful nonprofit that is actually making a huge difference. That's the reason the group exists, is to help veterans, pick up the pieces and move on and lead a successful life.
Exactly. And the thing is that there's so many benefits and services, but the gap is advocacy. So it feels awesome to know that the top 25 collectively, we raised $80,000. $25 a day provides transitional housing. There's also employment support. So we bridge the gap and leave no sister behind and continue moving forward.
That's great, because that's something that needs to be done. And how would you encourage other women veterans to get involved?
I say go for it and do it. Now, for me, doing it the last year, I'm prepared to coach or help anybody else who needs support. You learn more about the support you need for yourself by advocating for the next person. So I say run for it, or just learn more about the organization.
Great. Thank you so much, Renee.
Frontside is home to the veterans who have dedicated their lives to serving. They are those who have stood the watch. They are sons, daughters, husbands, wives, fathers, and mothers. They are silent protectors who willingly risked everything. They have returned from the battle with visible and invisible wounds. For them, the war continues. With few resources and scarce help when they return home, these brave few have been pulled from the camaraderie and security of their fellow warriors, seemingly to fight alone. Front Sight was created to serve those who have sacrificed so much, to help heal the broken, to guide them in finding a hope and a future, to renew and restore.
My name is Octavio Sanchez. I am a retired Marine Corps Staff Sergeant. I live in Fontana, California. I've been married for 15 years and I'm a father of 4, 3 boys and a little girl. I deployed to Ramadi, Iraq in 2005. After 4 months of serving there, while on a combat patrol, my vehicle, an up-armored Humvee, rolled over an IED. The vehicle was launched up in the air 40 feet and it landed upside down, crushing my gunner and killing my commanding officer who was rolling in the front of the vehicle.
My name is Mark. I served in the U.S. Army a long time ago. Spent a lot of time in my childhood dreaming about serving, and it was always very special to me to serve in the military. I got a shot at something unique, and it worked out. I carried a lot of baggage along with my childhood as well, I'm sure, but my life has been a series of extreme successes and a lot of dips, taking my family down hard with it. This place has, whether it's saved my life or not, I don't know, but it certainly has improved the quality of life for myself and my wife.
Through the grace of God, one of my Marines ran up to me and he put me out with a fire extinguisher. In a rage, I was upset, and I picked up a rifle from the floor and I tried to engage the enemy. And I tried to squeeze the trigger of my rifle, and I had no strength in my right hand. I switched the rifle over, to my left hand, and I tried to engage the enemy in that sense, and I couldn't squeeze the trigger. As you can see, with my injuries, I didn't realize at the time, but my hands were, I remember looking down at my hands and they were just a mucousy green. They were burned so bad that I didn't even have the strength to squeeze the trigger.
My name is Chachi. I served in the Marines and I served in Afghanistan in 2009. Now I serve here in Frontside Military Ministry. And I'm here to tell you why Frontside is such an important ministry. In California alone, there's over 2 million veterans. A lot of times these men and women return from war and they have no idea what to do, who to talk to, where to go. They feel completely isolated. Well, what Frontside does is we form a support structure around every one of these veterans. We help them out. We show them that they're not alone. We show them that there is hope. One of the many things that we do is we take each one of these veterans by the hand down to the VA and we help them get their benefits. This can be a very long process, but we're there every step of the way. A lot of people don't know this, but since 2001, we have lost close to 7,000 men and women to the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. But in that same amount of time, we have lost over 100,000 veterans to suicide. These men and women are not dying in a battlefield, in combat. These men and women are dying in our backyard. We are losing 22 veterans every day to suicide. This is a battle that we are not winning. We cannot do it alone. Join us.
I mentioned one time in a small group setting here that this was the last house on the block for me, and it is. It was. It still is. I mean, if this place falls, you know, God's got a plan for me, but this is the last place that I know to go. As far as being a safe place that's oriented to my faith, and that's a real deal. I mean, if I can't lock in here, I don't have a chance at all. But yeah, so the older you get, the worse it gets. It never gets better unless you lock in. That's all I seem to think to know. If I have any advice, lock in sooner than later.
We got a brotherhood here. You know, our doors are open, day in and day out. You know, you can call us, you can call on us. It's that same brotherhood that we had, you know, when I was serving in the Marine Corps. We're here to help one another, to help each other, to keep each other accountable. And in that sense, you know, we're alike to many others. It's not the problems that we have. See, those problems are a blessing to reach out to others that are going through the same situation that I was going through, that you might be going through. And I'm a living proof of that.
Frontside is one of the few institutions run by veterans for veterans. We offer refuge, a setting of mutual trust and understanding, a multitude of resources. Help us serve the warriors of every generation who have risked and sacrificed so bravely. Whoever you are, wherever you are, join us now and take a stand. Support our veterans. Front Sight, the broken, the redeemed.
Thank you, Front Sight Military Organization. Our last video is going to be about Veterans Make Movies program, which was done through the LA County Museum of Art. I was privileged enough to go through the program this summer, and this is my student film, Lag Shot.
When I'm teaching players, I basically try to break the game down to parade rest. There's basically two ways to score. One is a lag shot, which is basically trying to score points. And the second part of the game is knockoff. If you keep your opponent's weights off of the board and keep yours on the board, you'll be able to score. So there's basically a strategy involved. Besides the actual physical skill, there's a mental skill, and it's all about skill and beating your opponent emotionally. That's a good shot. That's a good shot.
My grandfather served in World War II. Spending time with him were the best memories of my life. I became a physician at VA because of my grandfather, so I can help others like him. I can't imagine working with better doctors or a more dedicated staff. I'm fulfilling my life's mission with the help of my team and thanks to these veterans. I'm proud to be a doctor at VA and proud to honor my grandfather every day. Search VA Careers to find out more.